I really do like to write about titles. I like to come up with a title that writes itself. So it fits everybody's solution. You don't have to really live by the lyrics that are there. That's up for the artist to do. But you know, and sometimes that feeling comes out of the writer itself. If somebody's doing cover songs all the time written by somebody else, if they have input, that's different. And I remember working with a guy like Rod Stewart, and I've always made comment that when I worked with Rod way back when, he sang a song as though it was going to be the last song he'd ever sang in his life.
Wow.
Knowing that he would go home that night if he lived and change the lyrics, knowing that.
Dystopia tonight. Dystopia tonight.
Hey, I'm here.
Welcome to the show.
I may not be able to do this interview from laughing so hard.
That's what we want. We want a good 45 minutes of just pure laughter, and then a couple how you doings.
Yeah, double from 40 minutes and 5 minutes of seriousness.
There you go.
I really do. I think I told you backstage, man, but I love the new album. I'm excited you got to do it. It's just been the coolest thing about it, and what you just told me, and I didn't even realize it at the time, is that this was done on an iPhone.
The vocals are, yeah.
Vocals were done on an iPhone, yeah. But I mean, like that's got to be like new for you, first of all, but also like, did you believe them when they told you that you could do it on an iPhone, or were you like, okay, but seriously?
Was never even mentioned. I think I've mentioned before that when I was sent some of the vocal tracks, I really was impressed with this guy's vocal. I said, where's he been all my life? Well, he's doing other things. That's why our paths never crossed. And of course, I've been in Europe for about 50 years. So, I'd come home for 2 weeks and go back out for a month, you know, doing that forever.
Sure.
Oh, wow.
For the last 19 years with the Blues Brothers band is, you know, pretty taxing, but into the road life no matter what. And the thing is that when I was out with Neil Young and Jimmy Buffett, people like that, they really made the road over here very comfortable.
Right.
And over there, we're rough and tough in it, you know.
Yeah.
Some of the guys, you know, we check into a hotel where they put us, and they'd be back in the lobby within 15 minutes. They didn't like the room. I said, guys, when the lights go out, they're all the same.
When you're on the road with Neil Young and Jimmy Buffett, what's the two differences between those guys when you're on the road with them? Are they basically, is it all kind of the same?
We all know the difference. The thing about Jimmy Buffett, he prided himself in being the fast out guy.
Okay.
And I remember one time we were playing the Coliseum in Denver, the outdoor football stadium in Denver, Colorado.
Yeah.
And the thing about when we finished the last song, we would run to the limo and head to the airplane because while we were on stage, the guys, you know, their helpers and all would pick up everything in the dressing room, and it would be right there. So we never lost anything. And I remember people wanted more songs, and we're gone, you know. So we had a motorcycle escort. We're driving 100 miles an hour through Denver, and we get to the airport and take off. And the pilot circles the arena. And people were still yelling and screaming 15 minutes later for another song. We were already in the air.
My God.
Jimmy Buffett doing the fast outer.
Wow, that's brilliant, man.
Oh, my Lord. That was so many years ago. I was 90-something when we did that. So,
yeah.
You know, he's been a good friend ever since. He got better as a singer, and he's making better records, I think.
I agree.
Nowadays is just incredible.
He seems like a really chill guy.
XM Margaritaville.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, they do a variety. They play play songs other than just Jimmy Buffett. They play a lot of reggae. That's what got me started on it. Then I got to listen to Jimmy. I said, I used to work with that guy. Man, he makes pretty good records.
He does.
He was doing that back when. I don't know if it ever changed life or not, but he already had all those hits out there.
Yeah. Yeah, he seems like a really fun. Like I feel like a Jimmy Buffett concert or just going to see him must be a really chill environment. You know what I mean? There's like really relaxed, a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and people come there to have a great time. They're
Right.
not really concerned about what you play or don't play, and
Right.
you're up there on stage thinking, I'm King Kong, I'm playing my butt off. They don't really care about it. They're there for a good time. And they know when they go to a Jimmy Buffett concert, they're going to have a see and hear a good time.
Right.
That's
awesome.
That's all that sharp business and all that other stuff. And I'm like, oh man, that is so cool.
Yeah.
And you mentioned also Neil Young. I think one of the things that I remember more than anything, Neil is a great talent.
Mm-hmm.
But we were playing, and Doug Dunn came over and he punched me and he said, "Look," and so we're playing Merriweather. No, not Merriweather. We were playing up in Chicago, and he had that record out, Harvest Moon. And that big old moon is coming up over the audience, and I wasn't paying attention. Doug comes over, looks and look up there, and I went, "Wow, that's pretty cool." We're doing Harvest Moon.
Oh my God!
I never saw it, so it didn't matter, but it did to us.
Yeah. Did you guys ever have any like close encounters with the audience, maybe breaking their way backstage, that kind of a thing?
Close encounters of the 30 audience. Let's see, maybe. I don't know. Nah, it's just they're always excited. The same thing with the Blues Brothers; they're excited. And they know, I think most of the people in Europe by now know after so many years that they're not going to see necessarily a comedy show.
Right.
And they didn't with when Belushi was alive, they didn't see comedy. They saw a comedian doing very serious music.
Yeah.
And so we got a lot of original press and flack about playing. And I said, wait a minute, guys. They didn't know this. I said, Belushi used to front a band, play drums, and sing. And Aykroyd really is playing a harmonica. They didn't want to believe it. Well, believe it now.
Yeah. I saw a couple video clips of you and Aykroyd and stuff on stage. It looks like you guys are just having a blast. Is that what it was? It was just about the fun?
The music was serious, but we had fun playing it. That's the main thing. So
exactly.
It was great. And Belushi made it fun. But he was a great guy. He was just a super guy. Never refused a fan an autograph. He was one of those kind of artists. I've been with some, they snub everybody, including their mother and father. Not Belushi. Everybody was his new best friend. That's the way I looked at Otis Redding and Rod Stewart. It was just everybody's new best friend at the time.
That's great to hear, man.
It always made you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's really awesome to hear. What was I mean, you were inside during COVID, obviously, like the rest of us. Everybody had to do their thing. Was it the fact that you were locked down that kind of brought on all this new way of doing the album?
Probably it definitely had an influence on it, and the fact that I have made comment before that when you're in a lockdown, you work on stuff that you've had in your head for a long time.
Sure.
You're not really in the mood for creating a lot of new music,
right?
You did when you wrote the song. So a
lot
of these songs were written for Felix Cavalieri and so forth, and he played on one or two of them, I forget it. I think on this album he's playing on some. We got his permission to do it, to use it.
Nice.
But during the time, we John Tiven and I, the co-producer, used to write once or twice a week, every Tuesday for sure, and sometimes on Fridays. So we had all these tracks. So Felix Cavalieri said, I've already played on a couple of these things, but I'm not going to sing any of them, and I'm not going to write any new songs. So I just thought they were dead,
right.
Just forget about them, sweep them away, and throw them away. And John brought them to life during the pandemic. He got the list and he said, do you mind if I finish these up? I said, no, go ahead.
Wow.
Well, he did a good job.
Yeah.
And I said, about the lead guitar and all that, I said, I don't want to do anything till it's all finished, the vocals and all that. I like to play to what I'm hearing.
Right.
Yeah. I've done some the opposite way. And the artist is smart enough to play around some of the things that I do, because I would step on some of the lyrics if they changed it up too much. So.
Right. That's actually pretty cool. We I was wondering what your process was like, because I feel like a lot of musicians and stuff like that we talk to tend to write all their music first and then worry about lyrics later. But you like to hear what they're doing and then play along with it.
Right. So I look at vocal singers, they're singing a melody, and it's just as an instrument. If you're listening to it, if you're just throwing it away, it's fine, Yeah. And I'm one of those writers. I really do like to write about titles. I like to come up with a title that writes itself. Mm-hmm. So it fits everybody's solution. You don't have to really live by the lyrics that are there. That's up for the artist to do. But and sometimes that feeling comes out of the writer itself. If somebody's doing cover songs all the time written by somebody else, if they have input, that's different. And I remember working with a guy like Rod Stewart, and I've always made comment that when I worked with Rod way back when, he sang a song as though it was going to be the last song he'd ever sang in his life.
Wow.
Knowing that he would go home that night if he lived and change the lyrics, knowing that. I knew it. If I knew it, I knew he knew it. But he would do that. He did that to a lot of songs. He'd take a track that he sung on, but he sang his heart out so the musicians get the feeling of the song. Then he'd go home and rewrite the song. He always wrote around all the licks and stuff. So
yeah. It is always interesting. Like I love, I've been to a bunch of concerts and stuff like that, and it's funny. Like there's some artists that kind of play it exactly the way you hear it on the album, and the audience can sing along with it. And I've gone to some concerts where I don't know if they do it because it's more fun for them, or if they're just fucking with the audience. But they'll add new lyrics, they'll change the melody. Like people are trying to sing along with it, and they're like, I can't. I don't know what he's doing. And I like that too. It's just their different approach.
Well, okay.
Do you have a feeling either way of?
And I know a guy that's real good at it, but he does it to stump the band, not the audience.
Right.
There's a very, very famous guy that loves to sing the lyrics to another song to this song, and the band goes, "What the heck is he singing?" He likes
oh my god,
a lot of confusion with the band.
That's great.
He's genius enough to be able to do that.
You got to tell me who it is in the back when we end, because I want to know. That's amazing.
And I don't know if I fall in that category or not, but I like to play songs similar to the record, because I figure the person that's going to pay a lot of money to come and see you came to see you because of the record they've been listening to.
I agree. Yeah.
So, playing a whole album of new stuff and refusing to play your hits, I think is a bad move. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I to hear. You don't necessarily have to do everything, but if you do one of those songs, do something they're familiar with.
Yeah. No, I agree. It is kind of weird when bands get that kind of I don't know what the attitude is that they get about it, but where they're like annoyed that people like the song that made them famous, and it's like, dude, just play the fucking song. Like that's why they're here.
I get accused of being a musician. I may be, but I'm not good enough to just play for myself. I'm good enough to duplicate some of the songs that I've had out, and that's about it.
Yeah. Oh my God. I was watching an interview with John Mellencamp, I think it was once, right? And I didn't know this about. I like John Mellencamp. I like his music. So I had no idea that this guy, like, he just seemed like he hated performing his songs and his music, and he was like, "I'm a painter," and he's like, I don't care. And they were like, "Well, what about the hits that you've had and the albums and the audiences and stuff? They love your music." And he's like, "I don't care. I paint." And I want to be like, dude, the only reason anybody gives a shit about your paintings is because you're John Mellencamp. Like, it was such a weird attitude to have.
He's something else. It was John Cougar Mellencamp. He took the cougar out. I don't blame him.
Yeah.
So I was on the road with the Blues Brothers. I remember talking to one of the secretaries, and we were at the Merriweather Post Pavilion in Baltimore, I guess it was.
Mm-hmm.
And so she said, "Guess who's in Studio B? That's where we cut. Ain't even done with the night, no songs." And I said, "Who?" She said, "John Mellencamp." I said, "Get out of here." So he booked Studio B at Cherokee in L.A. and got our backup engineer, our tech, Jimmy Tarplett.
Wow.
And then he goes back in later and cuts American Fool. Oh, man. I mean, what a song that is.
Right.
And that all came out of his head.
Yeah. That's the amazing thing. It's like,
I remember the first day that I recorded him, I said, "I've got to have my drummer. I can't do it." And so the drummer, I said, "I'm not sending you home. I'm going to make you sit in that couch and listen to my drummer." You know what his name was? Kenny Harrison.
Wow.
Became one of the world's greatest drummers of all time.
That's fantastic.
So I'd like to think I had a little bit to do with it. And
yeah.
And he told us, I was telling that story in an interview over in Norway somewhere. And he backed me up. He said, "Everything Cropper says is the truth." Wow. I didn't make it up. I try to embellish it a little to get people to laugh, but I don't make that stuff up. It is
So what was Fire It Up is the title of the album, title track. And I really, really like that one. Is that kind of personal to you in a way? Like, did that come from?
Well, no. I mean, I think I mentioned that Fired Up. Most people think that's Fire Up the Grill because it ain't over yet, guys.
Right.
Don't get the grill too hot. Go buy the meat, set the coals on fire, but don't worry about it. You got to poke it a little longer.
Right.
But it's about a relationship.
Sure.
Let's fire it up. Let's get this thing going. You give me yours, I'll give you mine. Let's fire it up.
Yeah.
So
listen, after the pandemic, I'm totally on board with that.
So far, so good. As long as we're in lockdown. It definitely is a lockdown album. That band had never been in a studio before in its life.
Right.
And still have we rehearsed in the studio several months ago to do 4 songs as a live performance for a podcast somewhere. I forget what it was. But
oh wow.
And that's the first time we'd ever seen each other in the studio. We talked on the phone a lot, but you know.
Yeah. Have you been able to do any? Have you been able to go back out yet?
Not yet. We will sometime. Hopefully.
Nice. Yeah, we want to come see you when you do go back out because that'll be fucking amazing.
It's not getting any easier.
I know. I know. Did you miss it? Like not being able to go out live and stuff like that, or were you kind of taking the time?
I've been doing it so long that I guess no, I didn't miss it. I should have missed it, but I didn't miss it. The routine of it, maybe, but I don't know about the playing and all that. I play here anytime.
Yeah, and
I still write, so I have a lot of fun with that. And I'm in Nashville. That's the home of songwriting, I think. And we, have been recently working on a few, not for the band for this album, but. Not to follow up anything. It's just, vocal songs. And when it's time, it is. And they said, you still write? And I go, yeah, if there's a project.
Yeah.
To write just to be writing? No, it's not a habit of mine.
Right.
I write when there's a budget and an artist that really is looking for stuff and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, if you've got an impetus and a motive to do it, I totally understand that. It's cool because, I mean, you're in Nashville now, but who were your influences when you were growing up? Did you have somebody that you, like, emulated when you started?
Well, yeah, we all emulated from the same people. So the first time, not the first time, but when I really got into people like Les Paul and Chet Atkins and so forth, and B.B. King, I said, the world doesn't need another one of those. And I'm not sure I created anything that was, and my influence would be a guy named Loman Paulin with the 5 Royals.
Oh, okay.
And I had an album out called Dedicated. Dedicated, the one I love, but I, just chopped it down to just the word dedicated. And my feeling about it was very simple. I said, if his family gets 1 cent out of that record, it's worth it for me to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Did you ever get to meet him?
His son came to me. I got him inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And his son came to me and he said, he said, my dad was on the back page of the obituary when he died. They could spell his name wrong.
Oh.
From Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Wow.
I didn't know that either.
No, I didn't know that either. What was the, when you started and stuff like that, you had your, did you want to be more of a writer when you started, or were you just interested in the music and the playing? Like, what was your first instrument? How did you get into it?
People have asked me that through the years. I did everything because I had to. So I'm more of an on-the-job training kind of a guy.
Right.
I compared it to a son of a famous plumber. He may not know the ropes as being a plumber, but he knows how to fix a water leak at a pipe. Then he winds up takes over the business. Of course, sometimes it goes under because he doesn't know the business. And I will say this on the interview. People come to me and said, my son's picking up guitar. I have a son or something wants to take up music. Do you have any advice? Yeah, learn the business. Because learning music and not knowing what to do with it doesn't mean anything. If you don't know, that's fine. But if you want to make it in this business, find somebody who believes in you, either a lawyer or a manager or somebody that really knows the business and can do it.
Yeah, that's the hardest part.
There was not that much competition when I was coming up, so I knew what to do. And my main thing, I used to hang out with the disc jockeys, like you guys. Okay. So
nice. Yeah.
More praise if I impress you as a person, I think.
Yeah.
You already know the album. Yeah. But you would spend it maybe one extra time or something if I'm nice enough for you to enjoy and get a kick out of it. So
yeah, I completely agree, man.
Yeah, that's the way I've always been. But the problem for the last 20 years has been no DJs.
I know.
Nobody to talk to. If you call the radio station, And I will hear something on the radio. I'll call in and they'll say, I don't recognize that title. And I go, well, that's what they were doing in those days.
Yeah.
They say, I love you a million times, and they call it the Blue Dove or the Great Fence Post or something like that. So I questioned one time, and they said, well, that's the way we identify that.
Right.
If you call it by what the song is singing about, nobody remembered. If you call it something else like the Dixie Cup, you'll remember that. Okay. Go for it.
It's good marketing.
And then vinyl came out. That's another one. Another kind of a pet peeve in a way. Vinyl came out.
Yeah.
And if it didn't skip, pop, and jump, then you wouldn't buy it. I said, man, I've spent 6 years of my life trying to get rid of that crap. Pops and crackles and all that stuff. And now that's what they want. The kids want to hear that. So, okay.
Yeah, man. It is weird that you're right. There is nobody to talk to. I mean, I kind of,
that's changing, thank God.
Yeah. I hope. I know. Now there's too many of us.
You guys right now. You better believe it.
Yeah.
Personalities are coming back. Trust me.
Yeah. I hope so. I hope so. Back. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I talk to some people and they're basically like, even in comedy, you know what I mean? Like, I'll go on these meetings, these network meetings or whatever. And then people who've come before me will be like, it used to be a guy with a cigar sitting in an office and he would be like throwing shit against the wall and being like, yeah, try it. And now nobody wants to take a risk. Nobody wants to take a chance.
That's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I've always said about comedy, since we're on comedy, I know writers write the comedy, but it takes the guy to deliver that message that goes over to the fans.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah. Who are your favorite comics?
I don't have one. I don't have a favorite of anything. Whoever I'm watching at the time.
Oh, that's great.
I know the same ones everybody else does. And
I'm going to say
people like George Burns. You mentioned the guy with the long cigar.
Oh yeah.
He would come up to my armpit. He was so short, amazing. I met him when he was about 98 or 99. He lived to be over 100. He was a little bitty guy.
Yeah, he did live to be over 100.
You know, but he had a long cigar, and that was a prop.
Yep.
It was a prop.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like Dean Martin and his alcohol.
Yeah. Pretty funny.
Yeah. By the way, one of my favorite songs, I just have to tell you, is Midnight Hour. I've spent like so much time coming home late at night from a gig, and I'll just blast that like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. It's such a great song. And I caught it on I caught you playing it again live on YouTube, I think, like a couple of years ago. Is that just, do you ever get tired of playing something like that, or do you still enjoy it?
I have fun playing it.
That's beautiful.
Maybe because it's simple, but I don't know. But it has a backbeat that makes you want to dance. I know that, and I remember the time we cut it. Jerry Wexler was doing a jerk, and we thought he was shadowboxing, and he's pulling down and doing a jerk. That was the dance of the day, so it was what it was. And he told me I had something else written, and sometimes I'll play part of it. But he said, Steve, you know that lick you're playing? I said, yeah. He said, well, just play backbeats. So they tell me, they asked me many times, they said, well, if you didn't have headphones in those days, how were you so tight with Al Jackson? I said, pretty simple. I watched his left hand come down. I came down when he came down.
Wow.
So I was more into that, making that feel good. And the thing about that song, Midnight Hour, Tom Dowd took it back to New York and flew Al Jackson up there to do the backbeat on it because he didn't think it was loud enough in the recording.
Well, holy shit.
And Al is so good, it sounds like one drum hitting.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I didn't even know they did that.
You listen to it 1,000,000 times, you're going to get the same conclusion.
Wow.
One drum. No, it's 2 drums. And the guitar is 3 hitting at the same time. It sounds so big.
Wow.
I'm sure you've been asked this 1,000,000 times.
Very important, I think.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm sure you've been asked this 1,000,000 times, but I got to get it for our viewers. Why do they call you the Colonel?
I guess, well, the only way I can put that is with the ROTC experience. I did 6 years of it.
Mm-hmm.
4 in high school and 2 in college. And, I don't mean to do that, but my daughter says it, my wife says it. So to stress a point, if you disagree with me, to stress my point, I will raise my voice. And I said that all comes naturally. The guy in the back row needed to hear what I had to say, and I said, God, I feel so sorry for the guys in the front row. They must have wanted to kill me.
Oh, that's great.
My daughter says, Dad, you sound mad. I said, no, I'm not. I don't have a mad bone in my body. I'm not mad at anybody. I don't hate anybody. I'm not mad at anybody.
Right.
But I do raise my voice to stress a point. And
I
if you a guy that I admired a lot in movies, and he would always talk real loud. He wanted everybody in the audience to hear everything he said. Some guys nowadays, a lot of actors and actresses speak under their breath almost. It's so
oh
soft.
yeah.
You have to turn it way up. You still can't understand some of the things they say.
Yep. And
Yeah.
all, like I feel like all independent movies is just a competition between actors to see who can speak the softest. And I'm just like, what?
Well, it might be, but I'm back on the songwriting. I think it's a competition. We back on comedy. It's a competition of writers in movies, I think.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Once an actor learns their craft, I don't think it's a battle of the actors anymore.
Nope.
Comedy
I
is
agree.
different. Acting is a whole other world, and I know about that. I've lived in LA 13 years.
Yeah. Did you?
And I've auditioned for a few things and got a few and had fun doing it, but I didn't want to spend my whole life doing that. So
Right.
I had more fun with the music.
So that's perfect because that's what I was going to ask you next. Is you never really had any other interest? Like, did you have any other interest to do anything else, or was it always just music?
Well, let's put it this way. I don't know. I had something to fall back on if music didn't make it.
Okay.
But my parents never discouraged me. They never said, "Oh, you're going to be a musician. You'll never make it." They never said that.
Wow. That's
They
great.
promoted, if anything. And I got lucky. It turned out okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
I do
that's
get
an
asked
understatement.
Time to time. How come
Yeah,
you
you got lucky.
guitar on those records at Stax? Very simple. They couldn't afford a second guitar player.
Do you remember your first gig?
I do. At Stax, I do. My first
nice.
gig? Oh, no. Maybe, I don't know, high school gig.
Oh,
I remember
okay.
my first session at Stax, a little song
Nice.
called I'm Going Home by Prince Conley. And the
Wow.
reason I was on it is Chip Bowman, who was the A&R director and a lot of other things, wanted to engineer. So he brought in this artist, Prince Conley, did a record on him and told me what to play, hummed it to me, and I'm
Nice.
Going Home was the name of it. And he was a pretty well-known artist in Memphis. Worked at the Club Handy, and he got around, and people knew who he was, and all that sort of stuff.
Was that the first time you were paid as an artist?
Yeah.
Wow. That's
Well, as a guitar player.
As a guitar.
I'm still trying to get paid as an artist.
Oh my God. When you're on the road and stuff like that and you're doing those kind of tours and going out with all these different guys, was there any point where you were kind of like, I could do this? Like, what was the point where you were like, I could do this on my own? You know what I mean? Like, I want to go and try new things and stuff. Or were you always just enjoying the time you had?
I enjoyed the time I had, and I'm one of those guys that I enjoy being around all the other musicians.
Right.
When I play, I'm not playing for me. I'm playing for them as well. So
nice.
If they don't like it, they'll tell me. I never play for me to satisfy me. I'm such a critic, and I don't think I've ever had a song, one or two in my lifetime, where I was a solo writer on it.
Right.
I co-write everything because I love that spin-off, that camaraderie between two people. If I say, what do you think about this? And they go, yeah, or no, let's try this. Okay.
Right.
Some always listen to the other guy. I've always done that all my life. Maybe that's one of the secrets of success. I don't know.
It's always better with other people when they're in the room, even when you do. I mean, like as a stand-up, you write by yourself for your material on stage, but I always liked being collaborative with other funny people. Or just creative people in general.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like there's nothing better than being in a room with somebody who understands the way you think.
The business and gives you a compliment and passes. Say, do that again. I love hearing that. When somebody says, that lick you just played, do that again. Okay, this lick, yeah, that lick.
Yeah.
And that spurs me, that gives me so much excitement. It's amazing.
Right.
And I remember you mentioned him earlier. We talked about Neil Young a little bit.
Yeah.
He said one time in an interview, he said, the day that they call me a musician made my whole life.
Wow.
He's been the godfather of grunge for a long time, but he said, the day they call me a musician, I got the message and I really appreciate it. So.
Yeah. Isn't it weird how just that little bit of acknowledgement can like keep you going or just set you on a. Yeah, it does. It is. It's like what you were saying before about having, or kind of like knowing the business and having somebody that, backs you and believes in you. it's such a huge difference from doing anything on your own. Like once you have a manager or even somebody like that who just somebody in your corner, it gives you this whole boost of confidence for some reason.
Absolutely, encouragement. Everybody needs that a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, having your parents say that 24 hours a day, all your life, you wind up a mess.
Yeah.
You're good, but she ain't that good. Or she ain't oh, honey, that's good. Do that again. No, you don't want to hear that every day, but it's nice to hear it every, once a week or once a month or something. It's good to have a little encouragement.
How do you feel about those shows that are currently on and stuff like that, like The Voice and American Idol and all that? Do you feel like it's necessary for exposure for artists? Do you think
I have mixed feelings about it, but we have a friend that's on The Voice right now, Wendy Moten. And she's real good. We'll find out tonight if she moves on to tomorrow night. If she does, who knows what will happen? Yeah, she's the one that fell and broke her arms and all that. Still went out.
Yeah.
With the cast on. So.
Right.
She's great.
I have similar situations where sometimes I've got a friend who's on one of those shows, and I'm always like, "This is going to be great exposure no matter what," and you're just happy for them to do it. And then sometimes you see people that are on there, and you're just like, you feel bad because it's like they just picked them to get, you know what I mean? Like those people that I don't even want to mention names. Well, but those people that are like,
and the thing about records, I know I have met most artists, not most of them, but a lot of them. Yeah, and some of them are very deserving, and some of them you just go, how'd they get to where they got being that way? If I worked for them, I'd be wanting to kill them, but I don't know. I mean, just push them out of your life.
Yeah,
not literally speaking.
That's the best advice we've had on this show so far. Just push them out of your life.
Push them out of your life.
Go That's away. Great.
Some of them are very deserving, some aren't. Who knows? So
that's just how it goes, I guess. But it's just kind of funny. You're like sitting there I remember doing that with like Last Comic Standing or something like that, where you're just watching the TV and you're just like, what the fuck is going on? If I watch this for one more hour, I'm gonna kill myself. Oh my god. Yeah, that is great.
I said that yesterday, and my wife immediately got her attention. She come over. She said, "Steve, there are kids in the house." I said, "Oh, okay. I forgot about that." So after she walked out, the mother said, "My son came home from kindergarten using the F-bomb." So they all use it today. I remember the first time I heard my son say it in front of his mom. I went, "You
but that's gotta be a great excuse though. Like if a teacher's like, "Where'd you hear that word?" You're like, "Steve Cropper said it," and they're like,
"Yeah,
oh fuck, I can't argue with that."
It's all his fault. My record didn't make it. It's Cropper's fault. If you played on it, might have had a chance. There
you go. Oh my god! When you were young and you were starting out, did you? Was it again? I'm gonna a similar question, but was it always about the music for you, or did you have a like goals set for yourself? Were you like, okay, I want to be here at this point. I want to be here at this point.
No, I didn't have a goal. I didn't have a number in mind like golf pros do. They know what to go out and shoot that day.
Yeah,
I never know what. Just let it flow and do what it does. And if I tick somebody off and they don't like what I'm doing, they'll tell me about it.
Sure.
I'll find out soon enough. And I can brag about one thing. I don't ever remember having a bad show.
Wow.
That's
great, man.
Everybody just uplifts. Maybe for some rehearsals you go, "Oh my God, I hope we get through tonight." But when the lights are on and the camera's rolling, they just come to answer the call. That's they just come to the forefront.
Yeah, I feel like that's got to be like a bit of a secret to almost anything in life, because it feels like if you try to control stuff too hard, it's going to derail. But you seem to be just going with the flow and everything goes, pretty well. Do you agree with that? Or?
I've been lucky from that standpoint. And about knowing the end result, I use that sometimes as in production. You've got to be able to hear a raw song finished, and you work towards that end to get it finished. Yep. It may come out a little different than what you had in mind, but when you add something, it sometimes takes on a different approach or different feel.
Yeah.
But you got to be able to hear something in the raw finished, I think, to become a good producer.
Yeah, you could hear the vision where it's gonna be, not where it is at the moment.
Where it should be, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
that makes me a producer. I don't know.
How do you?
They said, "Man, you wrote this, you wrote that." I said, "Yeah, but what about the other 300 that didn't make it?" You know me for 3 or 4 songs, and then you don't know me anymore.
Right.
I have a question for you. So my question is, music to me, when I hear something, it'll take me to a certain place in time. And since you've created some iconic songs that you'll hear everywhere all the time, when
Right.
you hear that song, does it bring you back to making it, or does it bring you to a certain point in your life, or something of that nature?
Well, you know, some of the songs were written about reality at the time, and some were written on fantasy, just
Yep.
daydreaming about things and how somebody else would approach the same thing, or how you think somebody being involved in that situation would think.
Yeah.
So it depends. I don't know.
But does it bring you back? Like when you hear it, does it bring you back to the?
You know, one of my most famous songs was sitting on the dock of the bay, and I got to thinking about it. I said, he was on Bill Graham's boathouse in Sausalito. He couldn't even see the Golden Gate Bridge from where he was. Then I found out what he was really singing about. When he was talking about ships, he was talking about ferries. And I said, you got to be careful saying that word these days.
That changes the whole song.
Well, I'm not giving royalties back. Let's put it that way.
When you revisit your older songs and stuff, do you ever have the impetus to change them?
No, but some people do. It wasn't there, and that's putting me off a little bit. So I try not to listen as much as possible.
I was gonna say, yeah,
because I forget who said it, but I remember hearing a director one time saying if he wanted his movie to be in Technicolor, he'd have shot it in Technicolor. So a lot of these songs get remixed by people that wasn't even there because they're very good engineers. Well, sometimes they hit it, and then other times they bring something up that shouldn't be there, that you spent your whole day or whatever getting rid of it or putting it down in the mix so you can't hear it, letting something else cover it up. And now with the new technology of computers and all, you hear everything. I'm going, if I'd have wanted that in there, took it out. And a lot of songs went on the what we call the shelf in the library. I said I should have just erased them or got rid of them instead of leaving them on the shelf. We never knew. We'd take a song, a whole tape, cut the hit out of it that we thought was a hit, put the tape back on the shelf. Never did reuse it. Wouldn't cut over any of them, but there's a lot of those outtakes.
Yeah, I find it so weird when
I called a record company one time on some outtakes that were released. And I said, "How are you guys putting this out?" I never put it out. They said, "Well, Steve, that's art." I said, "Art? Art. That is crap. That's not art." Anyway.
Yeah, it's always weird to me when they take stuff from people that clearly didn't want it out. Like when anybody passes away and then they're like, so and so kept this in their vault for 35 years. I'm like, well, there's a reason it was in a fucking vault for 35 years. He didn't forget about it. He was like, I hope nobody sees this.
It's nice to hear it, but don't put it out for the public to hear. That's not
right.
You know, and that is the old days. I remember Al Jackson looking at me one time. We were in a control room listening to something back, and somebody said, "Man, that sounds like a hit." And Al Jackson said, "Steve, they're all hits until they're released."
That's a great fucking line. That's a great line.
That is so true. They're all hits until they're released.
Yeah.
Let the artists decide whether it's a hit or not, and they will. You put it out, don't play that again. If they call you 100 times, call a disc jockey 100 times, say, play that song again that you played this morning. Okay, over and over. That's how charts used to be designed. That's how they told you what was number 1, number 2, number 3 on the charts. And nowadays, I don't know what they put on the charts. I don't know why. I'm lucky that this album went on the charts. It went on at number 1.
Yep. Wow. Congratulations, man.
Number 2, 5, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12. So people used to ask me, "How's your new record doing?" I said, "Well, it's on the charts, 100 with an anchor."
Fantastic. What was the you worked with everybody. Like I feel like there's literally nobody you probably have not worked with. I got a couple questions in that vein. Were you ever intimidated to work with somebody for the first time?
No.
Okay.
I have to say no.
All right.
I didn't
And the other
let that element sneak in. I
nice.
just ignored that element if it did.
Right.
And you know, there's a couple of projects that I thought on the front end, man, I don't know how I'm going to react, but it came all together whenever I got into working with them. So everything's fine.
That's
And
awesome.
most of those people, superstars, as long as you don't look up at them as superstars, they're just regular people.
Right.
If you treat them as regular people, they love you for treating them
Yep.
like normal people. So I've met a couple of artists that really expect you to treat them like a superstar.
Right.
I don't treat anybody like a superstar. If you don't like the way I'm treating you, and I'm treating you pretty good right now, if you don't like that, I won't stop. Just let me know.
Oh my God.
Call
Do you think
cab, okay, you're a cab.
is there anybody that you wish you could have worked with, like a missed opportunity?
I don't know about a missed opportunity. I've had one artist in mind that I didn't work with. I wish I had in a younger day. It's Tina Turner.
Oh,
She could have
wow.
done it. I mean, she
Yeah.
did do it on her own.
Yeah.
You know, she's not making records anymore, as far as I know. So,
Right.
but I could have. I got to work, luckily, with Aretha and a lot of other people, but Tina would have been it, I think. And back in the days when we had Last Night, that was back in the early '60s.
Mhm.
We followed them around. We did the same tour that and Tina Turner did. We were there the week after they were. So,
Wow.
and it worked out.
Would you say you were like
we got a lot of flack, not a lot of flack, but a little flack, and they go, "What are you boys doing here?" We expect an all black band, an R&B band. But Last Night, I said, "Listen to us play." We play, and then they'd be inviting us over for dinner and all that sort of stuff, you know. Otherwise,
Nice.
they wanted to just shoot us in the head or knife us.
Oh man, that's got to be crazy.
That's what the music we grew up on. Why change it?
Right.
We did what we did.
Yeah.
Now the record Last Night was done with a mixed group. I think Louis Steinberg played bass, Floyd Newman played played baritone, and Gilbert Caples played saxophone, along with our band. So we had Packy in it, Wayne Jackson on trumpet, Packy Axton played tenor. Who else was on that record? I was on it. Oh, Jerry Lee Smoochie Smith played the piano. And there's been some books out and stuff saying, well, Steve Cropper wasn't even in the Marquis. Yes, I was. They said, well, there's no guitar on the record. I know that, but I'm playing the whole note on the organ.
Right. Oh my God. Was there, that falls in line with another question I was going to ask you too. Is there, do you hear when you're making music, do you hear every instrument in your head, kind of how it's going to be laid out, even if they're not playing it yet?
No, I only hear what I'm listening to.
Only hear what you're listening to. That's cool though.
And if I expect to hear something and I don't, I'll either say turn up or we'll add that instrument later. So,
oh, that's cool.
And that happens.
Yeah.
And I loved doing horns, you know, and I guess I got my experience from watching Otis do it. And
Nice.
the horns love that. And then they got to doing their own.
Yeah. Was the guitar your first instrument?
Yeah. It was my only instrument, basically.
Right.
I remember Otis, the first time he wanted me to hear him sing, I said, well, play something. He said, I don't play the piano. Do you play piano? I said, only enough to write with. That's about it.
Mm.
So Marvell Thomas was teaching me chords on the piano to write with.
Mm-hmm.
And so Otis said, can you play some of them church quads? I said like this. I knew what he meant. 6, 8, 7. That's about it was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's I played piano on These Arms of Mine. That was his first record, and he had 17 in a row.
Wow.
By our standards. He generated enough income that we called it a hit. 17 in a row. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Some bigger than others. We know that, but you know.
Oh, but that's not. Is there what do you have a song in mind that you personally think this absolutely should have been a hit and never made it?
Well, I boast sometimes on a little song called Photograph.
Yeah.
Which Richard Perry was going to throw off the session because none of the band members liked it. And I looked over, we were cutting out his Sunset Sound, I think, in L.A. And I looked over at Nicky Hopkins when he was alive. I said, Nicky, let's you and I go out and put a groove on this. So we went out and I just started ding, 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 ding. So about that time, Jim Kellner comes and sits down, and Ringo came and sat down, and Klaus Bormann came out and sat down. And Bill Slays pushed the button, and we got Richard. Richard was somewhere, on the phone, and we called him in and said, "Listen to this. Wow."
Wow.
So that was a big hit single for Ringo. Every time I see your face, it
That's
reminds
a great
me of the places we used to go.
Yeah,
So
I love that
George
song.
wrote it for Ringo, but he didn't have time to go in the studio and do a full demo. So it wasn't a full record at
Oh
that
my
time.
God.
It was just he was more reciting the song than singing it. Every time
Wow.
I see your face, it reminds me of the places we used to go. Come on, man.
That's so true, though. I saw him do it live, and it's the same. It's exactly that.
Well,
But
that
everyone
song
loves
was
it.
an accident when I looked at Nicky and said, "Let's put a groove on." I was thinking more about just the groove of the tempo. I wasn't thinking
Right.
about how he would sing it later. So
Right.
it all worked out.
When something like that happens, are you good at letting it go and just being like, that's how it turned out, or does it kind of sit with you?
It's hard to say. I don't know. I don't have
Okay.
a definite formula that I do stuff with. Maybe I do, and not aware of it.
Yeah.
So I approach songs the same way I do every time. I come up with a title. I start with a title that I know writes itself, and then you figure out something you'd say about it to make it work. And the other one is that you try to come up with some music that'll go along with it.
Mhm.
It doesn't necessarily have to fit. It's not like I'm playing ice cream music or I'm playing park music or I don't think of it that in those terms. And
Right.
I used to pride myself in the fact that I like to do jingles. And the best combination of something that sounds like the product is Perkin. Dut, 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 dut. And
Right.
there were people that made that song a hit, but it was there to design to sell coffee. That's why the people that wrote it. So I like that idea. If you can
That's
go from
great.
that, then maybe you'll be a good commercial writer. Who knows?
Yeah. I like that you have all these varied
Yeah.
interests when you're doing that kind of stuff, and you seem to like just enjoy the time you have playing with people in different bands and being on the road.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's
Make fun out of it. And Donald Duck Dunn, my old buddy, bass player, he'd sit down on a session. He said, "Boys, we're not going to make work out of this, are we? If we are, then I'm out of here. I'm going home.
Love it.
We'll
Did
have
you-
fun, and we're not going to enjoy it." So there you go.
Where did this kind of positive outlook and attitude come from? Is it something you had since you were a kid?
School, I don't know.
High school.
If you have fun with sports, you can have fun with music. And I
What did
think
you play in
Donald
high
Duck
school?
I met on the softball field in about the 6th grade.
Oh wow, okay.
So
I've never heard that before, but I
nothing
like
to
that.
do
If you
with
have
music at all.
Wow.
And we became musicians way later, way later. And how did you become a musician? Well, every guy in our class wanted to play guitar. Some of them made it, some of them didn't.
But it was just to get women, right?
Well, that was the main thing. Why'd you take up guitar with the big girls? Well, I was one the long-haired guitar player.
Right.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if none of that worked to get women? Like men would just be we wouldn't even know how to
Well, I know it
read.
doesn't work today.
No, it doesn't.
I said something to my engineer a while ago, and he laughed. He's in the kitchen drinking some coffee, and I said, sometimes I hear a guy play, and I'll go, "Well, he ain't getting laid tonight."
Comedians always secretly want to be musicians because I feel like even like a xylophone player can get fucking laid in a band. You know what I mean? And like it doesn't like comedians. It's just hit and miss.
Well, I have no idea, but I do know one thing. There used to be a series of jokes saying things, phrases, or whatever you never hear on a session in Nashville.
Mm.
So you never hear, this is one we always use, you never hear a guy walk in and said, "Hey, with banjo player, please remove your porch, you're blocking somebody." That ain't going to happen in Nashville.
Oh, that's great. I love it, man. Well, listen, I got
changing. Guys
Yeah.
nowadays in Nashville can afford a lot of things. They're doing very good with their music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great place, man.
I was born on a farm in Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to the same music they were listening to in Kentucky.
Right.
But they got smart enough. I guess they were close to Nashville. They got smart enough to put a name to it and bring it down here and sell it. Bluegrass.
Nice. Oh.
The people of Missouri, I don't know, they just missed the boat on that one.
Yeah.
It's the same music. I used to go listen to it all the time. I don't play it, but
right.
I said one thing. I was on a bluegrass session. I've written some bluegrass songs. I said, when I got ready to overdub on it, I said, I don't have bluegrass chops, but I got bluegrass thoughts.
Do you still like going out and listening to other music, like other bands and stuff like that, while you're in the air?
Never did. I don't like going out and doing that all the time because I would get influenced by it very easily.
Oh, gotcha.
Well, I have, and I go out sometimes, and I heard a band the other night, and I said, those guys have backed me. I've worked with them and done about 3 shows with them, other than golf tournaments and stuff. I didn't know they were that good. I knew they were good musicians. I didn't know they were that good.
Wow.
Little band called Six Wire.
Six Wire. Okay, cool. I'll check them out.
And they were on that TV show Nashville.
Oh my God! Yeah, that's a great show.
The bass player and the lead singer, guitar player, were on there as regulars every week.
Oh wow, that's incredible! Nice. I probably know who they are. Okay. Yeah, that's a great show.
Is a lead singer, and John plays bass, and he was on there as a lead player.
Oh, that's awesome. I got 2 questions for you left that we ask every guest on the show. But I want to thank you for coming on, and we're going to plug the album and stuff. Yeah, it's been a blast, man. So first question is, if you could go back in time and give your younger self a piece of advice that would help you today, what would it be?
I'd have to think about that one. Don't give up your day job.
Oh, that's terrible.
I'm sorry. So I guess what I would say is never stop, never give up, never stop. Just keep going, doing what you do.
Nice.
If you get off on your own music, great.
Yeah.
So I have always said, if you're a guitar player and you can't hear the guys on either side of you, you're not playing loud enough.
Good point.
That's the way it goes.
And the other question,
I'll turn down so I can hear everybody.
Oh, that's great. And the other question is, what had to end in your life, good or bad, that led you to where you are today?
One more time, John.
Oh, what had to end in your life, good or bad, that led you to where you are today?
I don't know that one either. I know what got me where I am today.
Okay.
Success. If I'd have put out 500 flops, I don't think I would have made it. Right. But I got fortunate to put out 2 or 3 that did make it. And
fantastic.
I'm very proud of them. And I tell this about the little song called Green Onions. I know I hear it today, but I feel so removed from that song.
Really?
That happened 400 years ago, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, that's good. I imagine you hearing it and being like, "This is a great song," and they're like, this is your song." They're like, "Oh, shit! All right,
it's okay.
Which one are you most proud of out of all of? Because you've had so many big.
I have no idea. I mean, that's the one I'm listening to. I'm proud of the one I'm listening to at the time. You can't play them all at the same time; it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
So probably I'm not being a smart aleck now. I'm just not that way, and I always like things that at the time,
Yeah, in the moment.
I don't reminisce about songs. I don't sit at home and look at the ceiling and think about this session or that session back when. I remember them all, and they're all the same. And I guess some of the most fun I ever had was working with Tom Dowd in the studio.
Oh wow!
Okay.
People like Rod Stewart and so forth, and
sure.
He flew me up to New York one time to play on a record, Tar Heel Slim and Little Ann, a blues record. They put it out, but they never did do anything, so nobody would know me for that. So that's fun. But I remember it. And I love getting asked about your first session because I love talking about Prince Conley and I'm Going Home and all that. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I played on other sessions around town too. And I know Chips Bowman taught me a lot. And I went to Chips one day and I said, "Chips, they're calling me to play on something." And I said, "I don't know what to play." And he said, "Well, just play what you feel. If the producer or the director or whatever doesn't like it, they'll tell you and they'll get you to play what they want you to play." I said, "Okay." And it worked. The other thing he taught me was to use an unwound G string.
Because
in the old days, when you bought a set of guitar strings, the G came wound and you couldn't bend it. It was just too stiff to bend. And he taught me to use a B string for a G string.
Nice.
And, you know, they use a lot of bending up here in Nashville. It did for years in the early days. And they even invented a guitar that would bend that G string. So I know that a guy named Marty Stewart had one of those guitars.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And it sounds like a steel when you play it right.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
It's crazy how one little thing like that can change the way you play music.
Yeah, it changes the ear conception of what something's supposed to sound like.
Nice.
Yeah.
How often do you get asked to like pass down advice to younger people? Like if there was a musician that came up to you today.
I used to get asked a lot. I think I'm at the age now I don't get asked. I'm not out that much, so I don't get asked a lot.
But what would be the main piece of advice you would give a younger musician?
Well, I think that I said that earlier. Learn the business.
Learn the business.
Because it's going to take more than music to get you on top if you want to make it as a solo person.
Right.
It'll take more than music to get you there. You can learn all the music you want to. It doesn't mean a thing if you don't know what to do with it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I do give this advice. I just said that earlier. If you're called upon, you better perform, because if you don't perform, that'll be the last call you'll ever receive to be a musician.
Right.
So have a little of both in you.
I like that you
learn enough to get you by and learn the business.
Yeah. I love that your advice comes from a place of, if they're asking me, they better already know how to play. Because that's what I love about that. You're like,
or you're not gonna get called back.
Oh man. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming on, dude. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I love the new album.
Absolutely. It was such a pleasure.
Yeah, and can't wait to see you live, man.
Yep. One more time, where is the best place to find the album?
To find it. Oh.
Is it out there on like Apple, iTunes? Or...
That question.
Well, we know you have a website, so we can plug the website.
You know, I don't know the answer to that question. On the internet, Amazon, I guess.
Sure.
There we go. We'll let them know. Get to Amazon and check it out.
Yeah, we'll plug your website and stuff too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, man.
You can get it anywhere, Player Steve Records, or, you know, you can get the album. But you asked me specifically, where was the best place? I have no idea where the best place is.
We just wanted you to invite us over to your house to get it.
I still have 2 or 3 left.
That's what I was just saying. I was like, can we just come over? We'll just come over. We'll just come over and get it.
Come on over,
guys. Everybody, you're just going to have like hundreds of people outside your house. I can't wait.
Thanks so much again. And it was such a pleasure talking to you.
My pleasure.
Take care, man.
Dystopia tonight.